Thank you. Fianna Fáil strongly supports the motion, the original motion that is before the House today. I think we can argue, and the Minister has picked holes in relation to the statistics, but I think there's no doubt that while all generations, people of all ages, have been affected in a devastating way, and their families, by the economic crisis, young people have taken by far the greatest toll over the last few years. That's true not just in Ireland, but across Europe as well. And the statistics are there. The Minister has quoted some statistics. The Sinn Féin motion quotes others. But what's not captured often by the statistics as well is the scale of youth emigration. And that often underplays the extent of all of this, because there are tens of thousands of young people who have left this country, who are silently unaccounted for, who aren't here to raise this issue, because they're struggling to make a life for themselves elsewhere. Young people who worked hard to get the best possible education, who worked hard through their schools, who got the points for college, who put in the effort and the commitment to get good degrees, and then found that there are no opportunities for them. And I think that's important to note as well while we're talking about statistics. And the National Youth Council of Ireland did an excellent report recently called Time to Go on the impact of emigration on young Irish people. So we can argue over figures. Personally, I think that this debate, instead of being an opportunity maybe to have party political arguments on either side, should actually be an opportunity for us all to put our heads together and come up with solutions. That's certainly where we're coming from on this. I think there are excellent suggestions that were made in the original motion. I also welcome the comment that Senator Riley said in relation to young entrepreneurs. I think there's huge potential for us to actually harness the creativity of young people and their ideas, and with very little investment and very little support, to actually give them the tools to create the businesses of the future. I think they're incredibly well placed to do that, and I think that that's what we should use the remainder of this time to do, to actually come up with constructive suggestions. Fianna Fáil last year published a specific paper on youth unemployment. We would have exactly the same concerns that were made earlier on, that the government has published a number of different jobs initiatives at this stage over the last few years, but no specific strategy has been brought forward on youth unemployment. And I think that's, and Minister, I welcome the initiatives that you have made in other areas and other aspects of your brief, and I know that you have been pushing it's pushing schemes like JobBridge, and willing to review it and change it and make sure that it is actually fit for purpose. And I welcome your overall commitment to the area. But I think there's a huge gap on a cross-government basis in terms of not actually bringing forward a specific strategy on youth unemployment. The Youth Guarantee, the European Youth Guarantee, is a very positive initiative, massively underfunded with the figures that have been announced today. There's over 7 million young people unemployed in the EU, so the figures that have been announced so far, I think, I would say, are really only a drop in the ocean compared to what's needed. I also think it's important to acknowledge that while it's great that work has been done on this on a European level, and I think it's important to have a coordinated response, because we're not in this on our own. Other European countries are facing exactly the same problems as we are, and we should all, again, at an international level, put our heads together and come up with the most sensible strategy for addressing this on a continental basis. But at the same time, that's no excuse for delay nationally. There's nothing to stop the government bringing forward its own specific national strategy. Of course, that each country will be required to bring forward implementation plans and things like that as part of the European process, but that is down the road, and that's clear from, Minister, from your opening address that process has started, but there's still a way to go to get there. And I again would absolutely support your efforts and those of your colleagues to use the Irish presidency to try to accelerate that pan-European effort. I think that's very important. But at the same time, there is nothing to stop you focusing on bringing forward a national strategy ahead of that. I think we've already lost time on this area, and we can't afford to lose any more. There's too many young people who have already, as I said at the start, left this country, who wonder if they'll ever have a future here and are looking to us to put into place initiatives now, not next year, not 2 or 3, 4 years down the road, to actually put in place initiatives now. So that's why Fianna Fáil last year published a specific strategy on youth unemployment. I'd asked the Minister to take the time to consider some of the initiatives that were put forward in there, both in relation to internships and improving and extending the Job Bridge programme, making sure that people are given real jobs. I welcome the fact that many young people who are taking part in internships do get real jobs, but there are also those who are being abused as part of the process. I know several young people who are now on their 3rd or 4th internship. I don't think that was ever the intention. It should, of course, be for people who have their education but need to get the experience, to get work experience that will help them to get in the door elsewhere. So I think it's important to review the internship schemes and change them, but more importantly, and I think much more importantly, it's important to create real jobs, so that instead of just endlessly wondering if you're going to be volunteering or getting a slight top up on your social welfare, that we actually create real jobs for young people, and particularly because many of them just simply can't afford to stay here and will end up leaving. That's their only real choice, is to get employment elsewhere. So I welcome this debate. And from our party's point of view, we want to be part of the solution on this. We see that as our role in terms of constructive opposition. I hope that all of us can do that, both in the rest of this debate and going forward, and actually all put together ideas and work together on it. I know there's a temptation, and we can all do that. We can argue about the causes of the crisis, we can argue about the impact of it, we can get party political on it, but I think people are looking to us across Fianna Fáil, Labour, Sinn Féin, Fine Gael, all of us, to actually put aside the politics of this and work together on sorting it out.
Thank you, Senator.